Well, hey guys, today is October 12th, and I'm back up at Hilltop 91. Got up here yesterday, came up with some new friends of mine to bring them up here and let them get the experiences. What I'm going to do with this video, I'm going to kind of get right into it, is I had an email that I got right before I came up here from Tony Rulin, I guess is how you pronounce it. Sorry if I butchered that. I'm just going to read the email. It says, "Hi Kevin, I discovered your YouTube channel recently and I've been watching them with much interest. Thank you for sharing your experiences and lessons learned. I went camping on the Mogollon Rim in June of this year, 2019, to explore a couple of locations that seem to be active per analysis of BFRO Reports database. I and a friend camped near Bear Canyon Lake and Knoll Lake. Of these two places, the Bear Canyon Lake area seemed more squatchy because of Bear Canyon that had plenty of water and all the wildlife we saw, deer and cougar. What I did not like about camping there was the lake campground area was too crowded, and yeah, I don't camp in campgrounds, but the campground was too crowded, so we had to hike at night on abandoned jeep trails. The No Lake area had less people since we were camping away from the lake off of dirt roads, but we did not see much wildlife. We spent only 4 days in that area and did not see or experience any Bigfoot sign. However, we might return next year. Do you think these areas are any good to experience Bigfoot, or should we move into a different direction from No Lake and or Bear Canyon Lake? So I'll go ahead and address that a little bit. Yes, the BFRO database is probably, not probably, is what's the word I'm looking for? Is the best database out there as far as reported locations. With that being said, they don't have all the reports. People just, choose not to make public their experiences, and I fully understand that and have no problem with that. But yeah, the BFRO database is pretty accurate. Bear Canyon Lake. Because I'm very close personal friends with the local BFRO field investigator that investigates here in Arizona, and especially this particular area. This whole area up here is active. Bear Canyon Lake, I don't think it was at No Lake. I think it was at Bear Canyon Lake. He said they have what they call the Camp Screamer, who, early in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, comes in and screams real loud. I've never camped at Bear Canyon Lake, so I cannot, give good advice about camping there other than it's just really crowded. I always come out into the middle of nowhere. I get away from the crowds as much as possible, and I guarantee you that's why I have the success that I have, is staying away from these big campgrounds. Is it possible to have activity there? Yes. Are they around there? Yes. And as far as No Lake is another hot spot. All kinds of sightings and activity has been accounted for in that area. The best advice I can give you is find some place back in the woods between those two locations, and you're just going to have to put boots on the ground. I think today makes 199 days out in the field just in the last 2 years. Today, I think that's right. I just happened to stumble across them at my Squatch camp, and so that was was extremely active. The amount of stuff I learned while there uh, is made it possible for me to get to these other locations and have the activity that I'm having. Um, so you have to do your due diligence. Knowing what to look for as far as structures. You hear about, yeah, this area looks squatchy, and you know I, you're putting yourself in the mind of the Sasquatch or something to that effect. They are where they are, and they do what they do. You just have to start doing the due diligence, to start getting these experiences. Once you start actually seeing the structures and going and examining the structures and being able to differentiate between what's tree rot, what's snow load, what's windfall. It takes a little bit of time, and so I can honestly tell you that you spend your time out here, you'll find the sign of them, if not them themselves. I would highly recommend, if you're going to come out and do this, using what's called habituation, meaning camping in the same spot all the time, sitting out at night, using absolute light discipline. Do not use white lights. If you have to use a light, use a red light. Banging on trees, that's, if that's what makes you happy, go ahead and bang on trees. But, that's really not going to do a whole lot for you. I mean, yeah, you might get a knockback or you might get a whistle, and if that's all you're looking for, then cool, go out and do that. If you're really wanting to experience them, well, then habituation is what you have to do, to experience them. Let them come to you instead of you going out trying to find them, because you're not going to find them going out looking for them. Now, he asked a few questions, and there's some pretty good questions. The first one: when you saw the balls of light or orbs, do you think they are associated with Bigfoot, or are they different and independent phenomenon? And how do you know? The orbs, the twinkle lights, yes, they are associated with Bigfoot. Let's read that again. I think they're associated with Bigfoot, or are they different, independent? No, I definitely, believe that they have everything to do with the forest people. And how do I know this? Once again, it's from putting in close to 5,000 hours out here in the field. Look at it as like a puzzle. You got one little piece of the puzzle, and you have no idea what the picture of this puzzle is, but you get handed one piece at a time. And you got to start putting this puzzle together without having any idea what the picture is. But, you get one piece, and then you get another piece, and, as you start putting these little pieces together, you might put one in the wrong place and then realize after a couple more pieces get put in that, oh, wait, this one needs to be moved over here. Well, that's, there we go again. That's what I do with this. And everything has to fit in its place. When I've got, here's an example. I've got orbs around my wife's truck. And we leave camp the next morning, and we find a face print of a juvenile on her truck right where the orbs were at. So that's one little piece of the puzzle. Another little piece of the puzzle is, you see the twinkle lights, whether you want to call them orbs or not. Sorry, lost my train of thought there for a second. But you see the twinkle lights, and I had walked over to where these twinkle lights were and immediately got zapped. Another time I approached the twinkle lights, and I could no longer see the twinkle lights, but the other three people that were up here with me could see the twinkle lights all around me, and I had the sensation of being hugged. You come up and you hug somebody. I had that sensation. Do with it what you will, but time and time and time and time and time and time and time again, I'm having all these interactions, twinkle lights and the forest people, all happening at the same time. So you start doing deductive reasoning, and the answer becomes pretty simple. Your game camera experience with the granola bar was odd, whereas camera worked fine before and after the incident, but not during the incident. Was this the only time you had game cameras not working properly in the presence of Bigfoot? That is the only time I used a game camera. And, it doesn't take a lot for me to figure out, okay, something's not working. Once again, back to the deductive reasoning. There's multiple reports of electronic malfunctions, and I've had all kinds of electronic malfunctions. Brand new batteries get drained. I've had 14 gigs worth of music on my MP3 player get wiped out right in the middle of listening to it. I can give you these examples over and over and over again. But the bottom line is, I immediately figured out that for some reason, my trail camera malfunctioned when they were around. Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Didn't work, it malfunctioned, okay, check that one off, not using that no more. I have, set GoPro cameras out on a stump while I was walking by it, was going to circle back around, to see if I can catch anything following me. I've done all kinds of stuff like that, and, I've never gotten anything. And when I do that kind of stuff, the activity and the interactions drop drastically. So, deductive reasoning again. Video cameras, trail cameras, stuff like that, very little interaction. Get rid of that stuff, phenomenal interaction. So I don't use cameras anymore, and that's why. I guess that was the next question. Have you given up on using cameras? Also, do you think thermal images will be fruitless, and why? I've already given the reason why I don't use the cameras anymore. As far as like thermal imagers and stuff like that, it falls into the same categories with the cameras. People do occasionally get photographs of the forest people. I've got them, but I was not intending on taking a picture of them. I was taking a picture of something else, and they just happened to be way back in the background. But they have been captured on trail cameras. They have been captured on video, Patterson Gimlin. They have been captured on therm. Christopher Noel, I believe, has a really good therm, and I think guys on Finding Bigfoot on one of their episodes, they got a pretty good image of one. So is it impossible? No, it's not impossible. But you start doing the math about how many cameras, you know, how many people are out there using thermal imaging, all this high tech stuff, and how much fruit are they producing? Um, very little to none. Um, why let's see, what was that? Do you think thermal imaging imagers will also be fruitless, and why? Um, they're they just know what's going on. Um, you have to remember that when we're coming out into their environment, this isn't a dog, this isn't a monkey, some type of ape. This is an intelligent being out here. Um, this is their home. You come out acting like the paparazzi, they're going to avoid you at all costs. They're not going to come anywhere near you. They're going to know you're out there long before you even get close to them. So, you're just not going to have the kind of success that a lot of people seem to think that they're going to have. On that line of thinking, you walk into your house or walk up to your house and you see your front doors open. All right, you're getting a little concerned. And as you come up to the doorway of your house, you can see that some stuff has been moved around, and then all of a sudden you see that up in the corner there's a camera hidden up there, and you see another video camera hidden somewhere else. You're going to be kind of pissed off, aren't you? Are you going to want to have anything to do with anybody who's impeding on your personal privacy? No. Okay, so they don't either. You run around acting like the paparazzi, they're going to avoid you at all cost. Does one occasionally, get caught? Yeah. Um, that could be they do that intentionally to kind of dangle a carrot in front of everybody to get them to, all right, well, let's go run around the forest. We're going to get video of them, maybe someday somebody will get better video than Patterson Gimlin film. I would hope so, but I'm not counting on it. I'm not gonna put my eggs in that basket. Um, what are the most common noises or sounds that Bigfoots emit? Have these creatures ever growled at you? Okay, the first part of that. What are the most common noises or sounds that they emit? That I personally hear and that I personally get on my audio recorder is it's a click. Um, so many people in the field, it's just common practice to call it a rock clack. Up here where I'm at, it's all sandstone. You pop two of them together, you're not going to get anything other than a light thud. Are they walking around with a pocket full of rocks, and are they walking around carrying a stick to bang on a tree? No. These click sounds that people are referring to, rock clacks and what have you, is actually part of their spoken language. They're doing that with their mouth or vocal cord or something to that effect. But I do have that recorded along with the spoken language, kind of like how Aborigines, they click and pop when they talk. There's some tribes, I guess, down in rainforest and other places around the planet that the people do that when they talk. Yeah, so the most common sound I hear is that. Other sounds that they make, they can mimic so much stuff. They can make metallic sounds. They can sound like just about any animal that they choose to. When you hear a 850-pound owl almost sounds like an owl, but it's not an owl. It just gets interesting. But no, they have a full range of vocal cords. I think it was Thinker Thunker who did a video about their vocal capabilities, that off of the Ron Moorhead audio recordings, the Sierra Sounds, or otherwise known as Samurai Chatter. And don't quote me on this, but I think what Thinker Thunker had said and showed in this video is that inside the language they were able to hit 6 octaves simultaneously. Yeah, so the sounds that they can make are just off the charts. What was the other part? Have these creatures ever growled at me? No. I've been whooped at. I've been talked at. I've heard screams and yowls and just a whole wide variety of stuff. But have I ever been growled at? No. Not once. Not to say that they don't. They just haven't at me, thus far. If they ever do, I'll be sure to make a video about it. They do what they do when they do it, and that's about all the more I can say about that. Would appreciate any advice or suggestions. All right, the best advice I can give you, I state over and over again, do not, if you're going to go out and do research and look for them, do not let a set paradigm dictate. And so do not let a paradigm dictate what your experiences are going to be. Let your experiences dictate what your paradigm is. That's the best advice I can give you. And to understand that, the last part of that, any suggestions, is study the allegory of the cave. This is over 1,000 years old. Plato's and Socrates having a discussion. There's more to this world than what we're led to believe. And, as long as you're blindly staring at the back of the cave, looking at the shadows, you'll never see what's actually out in the light. So do your research online. I've got several videos about structures. I suggest watch those, so you can kind of get an idea of what these structures look like. And if you find an area that you think might be structures, go in and do your due diligence and look at them. It'll take a little bit to really understand what you're looking at, whether you're looking at tree rot or infestation or snow load, windfall. There's a lot of things that can cause the trees to come down, and sometimes they'll land in weird ways. But when some of these structures that you find, it becomes blatantly obvious that it did not happen naturally. It had to be manipulated in that particular sense. And some of these are much larger than what even 6 humans, good-sized human men could go out and maneuver around into the positions of how I find some of these. But you know, just do your homework. Um, Try not to, you know, have one set idea in your head and go out and try and make that work. Just go out and start exploring and see what you can find. But you got to put the time out. You got to put the time out. Um, you know, that I've stated before, and I'll state it again, that you know, I do not believe that there is anybody in the state of Arizona that is putting the time out in the field and at home, but especially out in the field. Um, you know, I get done with this trip tomorrow, then I'm turning around and going out for another week and a half on Monday. So, um, yeehaw. But yeah, so I really hope that answered your questions. If it didn't, or there's something you would like me to elaborate on, you know, just shoot me another email, and you know, and I'll do the best that I can to, you know, try and explain this for you, to you know, to my understanding and the best of my ability. But thank you for reaching out to me. It was a pleasure, and you know, maybe we'll do some more. Talk to you later. Peace out.